And then we're soldering the big cells. These are the Evergreen solar cells, and I can give you prices and things. I buy those cells by the pallet, 10 to 12,000 at a time. There's about 10,000 cells to a pallet. And Skyheat buys them. It's a non-profit organization I have. And I sell them to people in the third world for what Skyheat pays for them. Each cell costs $1.50. It's guaranteed to be $1.50. And they're 150 by 80 millimeters, which is basically 6 inches by 3 1/4 inches. And that means that they cost $1 per watt. To put this in perspective, of course you have to make a module and everything. I'll show you how they do that in a second. The new coal-fired power plant you have, somebody was giving me numbers. It apparently cost $3.30 per watt to build that plant, and you have to buy coal to put in it. And I understand somebody in Omaha owns the coal mines in Wyoming, and you have to ship the coal here, and the other biggest Omaha business, Northern Pacific Railroad, owns the tracks and will haul the coal at a nice price. So it's a nice arrangement for a couple of large companies, but it isn't really the cheapest way to go. A wind farm in Iowa that we flew over coming here, the wind generators there, installed cost, up and turning, cost about $1.50 per watt for those wind farms. That's the cheapest way to build a new power plant nowadays. And that's why that's why T-Bone Pickens has gone into the wind business. He's gotten out of the oil business and into the wind business. He also knows that we're running out of oil. So he's switching over to a much more limitless supply of energy. Photovoltaic modules sell in this country for about $4 and something per watt. Actually, because of the depression we're in, I've heard some people buying large quantities for under $4 a watt, $3.80 or something like that. In Nicaragua, we had a project. We got a grant from the Ministry of Education to put solar panels on every school in the country that didn't already have electricity, 924 schools. And we put more than one PV module on some of them. So we bought 1,000 solar modules, and they were 100-watt modules, and they cost $4.36 each, shipped to, delivered to the door in Managua. We had a whole container full. I'll show you a picture of the place. You can actually park a container in front and unload it. So those are the kinds of prices. Nuclear power plant, Seabrook, which is the last nuclear power plant built in the United States, and because of the way things are going, probably will be forever. It costs $7 billion that they admit to, and it is 1 billion watts, a gigawatt. That's $7 a watt. Now, the only way that they keep saying, oh, we got to use clean, green, safe, cheap nuclear power. That's a quadruple oxymoron. It's none of the four. And the reason they say, well, we've got to do this to be green, but they expect the taxpayer to pick up the difference. Remember, Republicans and the establishment are not against welfare. They just think it's wasted on the poor. So that's where we are. They want to make sure the big boys get all the welfare. Anyway, they're soldering solar cells together to make a module. In this case, they're doing 3 strings of 12, and they have men and women both doing it. And 37 people in this cooperative finished the whole course and got certificates that they are certified to do this. And here are the 3 strings laid on a sheet of paper. We're going to mix silicone and pour it on. It's a liquid silicone which will soak into the paper and wick behind, so the entire cells are completely covered front and back. And then we're going to lay glass on, and we laminate by putting cardboard down and piling concrete blocks on it. I can show you a picture of that a bit later. In another country we did that. Normally they use ethylene vinyl acetate, and they have a Spire makes a really nice automated laminating machine. The smallest one they make costs $500,000. So we substitute concrete blocks for that. So this is some of the business. This is 2 modules made in Nicaragua, in Rwanda, the first 2 photovoltaic modules ever made in the country. We made 2 at once because, remember, we were running those batteries down. We put them on the roof, connected them up to recharge the batteries so we can keep going. Nice bootstrapping there. And that's how and then we wired up that building and some other buildings so that 4 cooperatives have electricity now and electric lights. That's a sunflower oil cooperative there. They squeeze sunflower seeds for oil. The Radiant Horizon Solar Cooperative, that's what they named themselves. And a sewing cooperative and a basket making cooperative all got electricity. And then before I left, we had done 4 houses as well. All of this in 3 weeks. And they organized themselves, they created mission statements, they did all of this. It was really amazing. And these are people that live on $1 a day. So now what they're actually going to do to earn the solar panels, they did what the Nicaraguan women did. They invented solar dollar. Actually, they call them solar francs. They earn money by working, and then they use that money to buy the systems. Yeah, remember, money is imaginary. You can create it anytime you want. As long as everybody believes it's real, it works. And when people stop believing in the money, it suddenly is dead. And then you have to get everybody to believe again. Clap your hands if you believe in money. This is my Tinkerbell theory of finance. Anyway, I went to Chile. Before last August, I went to Chile, and there I am with the Andes in the background, snow. It's in the middle of winter. I'm there in August, which is late winter, because they're south of the equator. Everything's reversed. And I'm working with the student, that's a grad student, at the University de Concepcion in Chillán. That's the name of the town that I'm working in. And I'll just show them quick. There is a picture of the first photovoltaic module made in Chile. Now that has a nice aluminum frame. The ones in Rwanda have wooden frames because there was no extruded aluminum. So I had a carpenter make wooden frames, and then we puttied the modules in by taking clay and mixing it with some of the sunflower oil. We used the dregs from the squeezings that they didn't want to put, they couldn't sell in the bottles. And it's a nice omega -6 oil, just like linseed oil, so it polymerizes nicely in the sunlight. So the putty will set up quite nicely. Yeah, you have omega -3 oil. That's an unsaturated one that New Age people like to eat. It's supposed to be, it's good for you. And omega -6 oil. They call it omega-3 because the minus sounds a little negative.